How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video we're going to be going over exactly how I name my Pokemon in Pokemon GO. This is arguably one of the most requested videos I've gotten on the channel over the past few years, so I really felt like I had to make this. So let's go ahead and start off with the 100% IV, right? This is pretty simple. This just means a 100% IV Pokemon, so basically 15, 15, 15 for those of you guys who are a little bit unfamiliar with how IVs work. Now, because the IVs are in total out of 45, if you basically just go backwards, like if you do 44 divided by 45 for a 98% IV, or for example like 42 divided by 45 for a 93% IV, this is pretty much what you get. So I'll use my Shadow Ho as an example. We can see here it is going to be a 93% IV because it's only 3 IVs down, and you can pretty much just go down in order, so I'll just give you guys like the first 8, so it'd be 98, 96, 93, 91, 89, 87, 84, and then finally 82. I believe 82% IV is also going to be the cutoff when it comes down to 3-star IV Pokemon. Anything lower than that is going to be a 2-star. So if we take a look here at my Shadow Machamp, this is going to be an 82% IV, 3-star IV right there. And then if we go to my Venusaur, which is an 80% IV, so this is going to be 9 IVs off, this is going to be a 2-star. So anything lower than this, guys, is going to be 2-star or less. Moving on over to the next question I get asked pretty frequently, what does 15A mean? So that pretty much stands for 15 attack. I also tend to do 14 attack as well. If it's like lower than 14 attack, I usually just don't put it in the name, but I like to indicate at least which of my attackers, if they're not hundos, have 15 attack, or even 14 attack is pretty good, like if I power up like a 96% IV or something along those lines. I think I have a good example here. My Zekrom comes to mind, so let me just go ahead and search that up. So right here we have a 96% IV, 14 attack. If we appraise right there, we can see that it has 14 attack, 14 defense, and 15 HP. I don't really name defense or HP stats if they're 15, I just kind of leave it as is. So we can go ahead and use Shuckle as a good example right here. This one doesn't have the best IVs, but it does have 15 defense. Now I didn't put 15D next to the Shuckle's name or like plus plus or anything like that. We'll get to what that means in a second. But the reason I set it up this way is just because I felt like it's a little bit easier, since I'm not really going to have to focus on, what the attack IV is going to be when I drop it into gyms. Like ideally it would be like the best HP and the best defense, right, for gym defending. But to be honest, guys, it doesn't actually make that much of a difference, so I don't worry about it too much. Like when it comes to raid attackers, for example, 15 attack could be the difference in a breakpoint, which ends up doing a ton more damage in raids, or even in Master League, for example. So it's kind of good to indicate if you have 15 attack, and not to mention the CMP tie as well. You need 15 attack to make sure that you're at least CMP tying with your opponent in Master League. If you have 14 attack on your Pokemon, for example, like I actually have a shiny Metagross that I want to showcase right now. This thing is like my pride and joy, dude. It's like a 98% IV, 14 attack, 14, 15, 15 shiny. The downside is I can't run this as a lead Pokemon in Master League because of that 14 attack. Like let's say, for example, I go up against another Metagross. I'm going to lose CMP, they're going to get the advantage in the battle. That makes a big difference. So I pretty much have to run this as my second or third Pokemon, and that's really all that is in terms of the indication right there. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to the naming conventions here. So if we take a look at Mewtwo, what does the L mean, right? So we know what the 100% IV means, right? That's a hundo. What does the L mean? So this stands for Legacy Movesets, and as you can tell right here, I actually have 2 Legacy Movesets on this hundo Mewtwo. Psystrike and Shadow Ball are both Legacy. So anytime a Pokemon that I have has a Legacy moveset, I'll just put this like right there. Now I'm sure some of you are wondering though, what does the plus plus mean? So this stands for best moveset, so Psycho Cut, Psystrike, or even Confusion Psystrike. I just kind of, switch between them because they're fast moves, but this essentially means the best moveset. So paired with the Legacy, it's, Legacy plus plus is the best moveset you can have in the game. It doesn't always have to be double moved. It's just sort of an indication to me like that's the Pokemon you want to be using, and it just kind of helps me organize through things a little bit easier. At least it did before search tags. Now it's, we have search tags, so it's a little bit easier that way, but I just kind of stick with the same system. If we also take a look at this Garchomp though, this only has a single plus. So what does a single plus mean compared to the double plus? So this essentially means second best moveset or alternate moveset, and it's kind of like a good indication to me because Garchomp can be run in 2 different ways, right? It can be run as a ground type attacker, or, with a variety of movesets in Master League. So in this case, I have Dragon Tail, Earth Power, and Sand Tomb. You can clearly tell I was running this one in Master League. And then if we take a look at this other Garchomp, I'm using it as a Dragon type attacker. but I could also use it in Master League with Dragon Tail, Sand Tomb, and Outrage. That's still like a viable move set. One of the key differences in why I actually have 2 Garchomp powered up, I mean, this one isn't maxed out like this one is, but the reason I have 2 is because of Earth Power. That is a legacy moveset. That's a legacy Comday moveset for Garchomp. Sand Tomb is pretty much key for PvP, especially if you're going to be running Dragon Tail as the fast move, because you can debuff your opponent's defense and then just hit them really hard with Dragon Tail. Alright, next up, let's talk about the question mark. What does a question mark mean? So we can see it's a shiny Pokemon. So that pretty much just means any shiny Pokemon I have for trade. Yeah, like I actually do have an extra shiny Smeargle. It's a really, really rare one, so I would ideally want something good in return back for this, but you know, this is pretty much my indication. Like I could even go to my trade section here and I can show you how many shiny Pokemon I have extras of that are just for trades. 465. So whenever I'm doing lucky trades with people, I pretty much just let them go through this entire section. And this is just a heads up for any of you guys that are lucky friends with me that don't live in my local area. If we ever meet at events, take your pick. You know, we can definitely discuss things. This makes it a lot easier for people to just kind of go through and pick out the shinies that they kind of want, and then we can discuss obviously what's a fair trade and go from there. You know, everybody's different in terms of what they're after in this game, but this just helps me stay organized. It helps, you know, people when I'm trading with them just kind of pick what they want, because otherwise it's really difficult to go through somebody's shinies if they're not marked. At least I always feel like it is, so I try to make it easier for other people. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the shinies that I have for trade. Now, if they do have a legacy move set, for example, like this shiny Charizard, it has a Blast Burn, I mark it with that legacy symbol as well, so pretty much just combining what I talked about earlier, and you pretty much get a legacy shiny Charizard for trade. The next thing I want to talk about is going to be the dash symbol right here. So what exactly does this mean? So this is pretty much my indication for distance trade, so anytime I hatch a Pokemon, or even I catch a Pokemon that is at least 100 kilometers away, I mark it with this symbol. It's really beneficial to have Pokemon like this that are at least 100 kilometers away, because when you're trading with somebody else, you're going to get guaranteed extra large candy even when there's not a special bonus active. So right now we have the special bonus, but for example, last season we didn't. If I traded this Mr. Mime, I would have got a guaranteed extra large candy, and so would the person that I traded with. So it's really beneficial to have them for that reason, not to mention you also get the max amount of regular candy when you trade with the max distance, which is at least over 100 kilometers away. So anyways, that's basically why I named those that. It's just a really quick indication. I just type in one symbol and it pulls them all up, and boom, I can just get all my trades done right then and there. So we do have a few more that I want to go through here. The next one is going to be pretty simple, at least like the next few are going to be pretty simple. So the yen symbol, that Y looking symbol, that stands for just trade. I don't know why I picked it, I just felt like it kind of stood out to me, so that's my trade symbol, and I just paired it with a legacy moveset right there, so you can see that I have this Groudon with Precipice Blades. This is the signature moveset for Groudon, so I'm keeping this for trades. So even though this Pokemon is marked under the trade search tag, I like to name them this way just so they stand out a little bit easier. Let's see, we do have a few more. So this one is the same thing, the yen symbol for trades, and the R stands for regional. So basically, if somebody's looking for regional Pokemon, I'll just do a quick search, see if I have any of the ones that they're missing. Once again, negotiate the trade and go from there. Now the next two, actually you can't trade in Pokemon Go, and the reason for that is because they've already been traded. Now if we take a look at the IVs on this Dialga, we can see that it's not actually that good. Like, it's not bad or anything, but in terms of what I was ideally going for, at least 15 attack, and ideally the hundo for a Master League, this was definitely not it. So I'm just going to transfer this to Pokemon Home, that's why I put the H there, and you can only do like one shiny legendary every so often, so yeah, it takes a lot of time between. But supposedly you can just transfer these in there, so I haven't actually tried it yet, but from what I've heard, and maybe somebody can confirm in the comment section down below, you can trade an already traded Pokemon. The reason I say that is because I transfer already traded Pokemon into Pokemon Let's Go all the time, and I'd assume it's the same mechanics, so yeah. Honestly though, I really should start transferring some of these shiny legendaries. That's a note for later. The last thing, of course, that I want to talk about is what I just already said, the Pokemon Let's Go. So pretty much the yen symbol plus Let's Go, anytime I trade a Kanto Pokemon, it specifically has to be a Kanto Pokemon, then I will just trade it over to Pokemon Let's Go, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You can have like a ton of Pokemon come in from Pokemon Go, so I just transfer over like all my extra Kanto shinies. With that being said though, that's basically my naming convention in a nutshell. If you guys felt like I left anything out, let me know in the comments section down below and I'll try to explain it, but I feel like I pretty much covered everything, at least the most frequently asked questions I get on the channel. Otherwise, I hope you guys did find this video helpful. You know, if you're still looking for some more content, I'm going to recommend these two videos right here. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.